professional mentor. These are all true and serious. Lisa's work is widely published in the U.S. and abroad. Their house, which is kind of interesting, their house in D.C., shared with her husband, journalist, writer, and amateur violinist Clyde H. Farnsworth, is a frequent gathering place for writers and musicians, and a second home for numerous young scholars of many nationalities. Ritchie and Farnsworth often live in an isolated old farmhouse beside the Patuxent River in southern Maryland, or Dasha.
Okay.
And Nancy and I have had the pleasure of...
And there are copies of the book, because I get bored at a reading if I don't follow. And you don't have to buy the book, but I'd love it if you looked at it. Look at the cover by Suzanne.
Anybody like to take one to look at?
So, if anybody would feel happier reading
You
it.
have to put them back.
And thanks to Sue Neal, who's graced us many times, or let us grace the premises. And thank you, that was fun.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Along. Anyway, because I keep changing my work, even as I was putting them on easy-to-read paper. And, oh, by the way, one of our housemates, who is part of what you read at the end there, denizens of Macomb Street, is sitting back there. Filiana Filo from Brazil, who is working on various things.
Show off your t-shirt. Step out and show off your t-shirt.
Oh, yes, I wish I had a bigger bosom. But anyway, this is the cover. And I have a couple more there if anybody needs to have a t-shirt to keep warm. In Bulgaria, where I was before Richard and William, I kept meeting foreign writers, and then they would come to Washington. John Pauker, who was the real powerhouse here, if he had excess writers, he didn't want to deal with them. Soviets, I didn't want Soviets, but he'd pass them on to me. But this writer, I cannot remember who it is, but John Pauker had sent him for lunch. So this is Guy Wires for a foreign writer visiting. It's the 13. And this I haven't changed. You sat yesterday on my balcony. Can you all hear all that? Okay. You sat yesterday on my balcony, untrimmed the magnolia's leaves, breathed your head, and a bee examined your words as if visas. I served you melons and wine. You spoke of mangoes and palms, trial throwing stones at a plane, a pear tree roots gripping a tomb. You've flown across half the earth, explored and lectured, praised, criticized, instructed before you set forth. We told our stories, kissed and cried. Alone, still breathless this morning, I note a spider's skein the cat ignores. In the slant of sun, guide from this worn wrought iron chair to your chair. Fellow writers, and I think this is probably true of artists and musicians, if they're not jealous of each other, do live at a different level. And we may not be manic, but when we are creating, we are rather hypomanic. We're just under that. Other people don't understand. When the full moon is about to be full, I can write the hardest, and this being true forever, the strange. This is Lunatic Moons.
Page.
Page 33. And I don't know if others have this, but other poets and writers and artists do understand this great energy, whatever causes it. I extol full moon nights, how even if storms bandage the sky, my energy soars, new work billows forth. We dread full moons, says the RN over tea. That's when the loonies tend to hit the ER. She studies me sideways. I slap down a 10 for unfinished pastries, wish her good night shifts, run home through twilight crazed with flames. In time, I'll go blind. So while the lunatic moon crowns from the sea, must write fast, snatch at stars. Something else big and round, a gift of tomatoes. This is page 15. You bring me the tight, bloody suns of October, snatched from vines and tangled, untied, hiding green snakes and black and gold spiders. And they escape from your basket of wicker, through your fingers, from your hands, harvest noons crowning through hills. And they roll, swell, burst in my palms, bleed into fate's crevasses, redden our destiny's map. I try to tame them under my knife with sugar and parsley and salt. Their blood burns the cuts in my hands. Their flesh lights my throat with their glow. All winter I dream of gardens, pungent, cold, where tomatoes loll, and still green and hard, among furry spiders and shimmering snakes, till the carmine moon bursts in the sky. In my book, The Tiger on Connecticut Avenue, which is over there, a poem to my youngest son, who landed in prison because of DUI and riding when he shouldn't. And I was quite ashamed of this, or he said, "You ever live down this shame?" And I said, "You just have to move on." I found other people also had children in prison. A neighbor in the country has 2 grown sons in for 20 years and 30 years. The Russian poet Anna Akhmatova, whom I translated some, also was outside the prison. And this is page 19. And I changed it since I had, it's different now slightly. In another century and land, Akhmatova queued up outside the Kresty jail in Leningrad to pass parcels through the grilled window for her son, a dissident detained, and vital bribes for guards. A wrinkled woman recognized the poet. In whisper asked, "And this, can you write this? Can you put into words?" "I can," Akhmatova replied, went home to her aesthetic flat and wrote her epic Requiem. This is about the whole time of horror in Russia, Soviet Union. You and I line up outside these walls, must be approved, tip the guards to pass our parcels through the locked grill, and to wayward children whom we tried in vain to rescue. Now they're stuck inside. May we find a certain solace in our uncertain solitude, sisterhood. Grace Cavallari invited me to go to Italy, or maybe the